Well, welcome everyone to Getting the Most Out of Sage Intacct, tips and tricks for greater proficiency. And greater proficiency leads to less stress and a happier experience. So we're glad you're here and we're happy to provide this content. Your two presenters today are going to be Shay Simpson, who is a senior Sage Intacct consultant for LBMC Technology Solutions, and then Deanna Brooks is a senior strategic account manager, and she's going to be giving the opening welcoming remarks. So, Deanna, over to you.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for attending. I know that we put this together last minute, but we really wanted to provide something of value. So I think that you will get a lot of value out of the tips and tricks that we're going to present today. I'd like to introduce Shay Simpson. As Dawn mentioned, she's one of our senior strategic, not senior strategic, one of our senior Intacct consultants, and she's got some great tips and tricks that she's going to share today. Shay, on to you.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Thanks for joining this afternoon. Um, I would like to make this extremely laid back. I want it to be interactive. So as we go through these tips and tricks, feel free, please. Stop me at any time, ask me any types of questions. I really want this to be interactive with the group because some of this functionality in Intacct, you probably have heard of it. You may be even utilizing it. Maybe some of the things within the functionality you weren't aware of. So to kind of get started, what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be going through, obviously, our introduction. We're going to be talking about some scheduled journal entries, some intelligent GL detection, matching and creation rules within cash management, and then Copilot for Sage Intacct, which is up and coming and extremely exciting. So a little bit about myself. I've been with LBMC now for probably almost 6 years. I'm an accountant by trade. I worked for a publicly traded company for 13 years, went on to be a controller for several years and decided to get out of traditional accounting. And so now I'm on the consulting side. So I always say I would never go back to traditional accounting, but I love, love, love what I do because I've sat in your shoes, I've gone through month-end close. And so anything that I can provide to make your lives a little bit easier, kind of ease that burden, ease that stress, that's where I really that's where my passion comes from. So let's go ahead. Let's just dive right in. Again, going through these learning objectives, we're going to understand the importance of a seamless month-end close and how automation simplifies that process. Automating those recurring journal entries to reduce manual errors, improve efficiency, identifying unusual transactions in the GL with automated tools for better accuracy, automating transaction matching and predefined creation rules to streamline your reconciliations. And then again, that up and coming AI-powered Copilot to enhance financial management and decision making. All right, let's talk about the importance of a smooth month-end close. We've all, been there, done that. So when we are talking about this, we want to ensure that our financial accuracy, again, save time, reduce that stress, support strategic decision making, improve compliance, and reduce the risk, and then enhance the internal and external reporting. Okay. What are some of the common challenges that we face as a finance team? Manual entry mistakes. How long are we actually spending at month-end close going back in and analyzing our data to ensure that it's been coded correctly? Undetected fraud or errors. Missed critical steps in the close process. Did we capture everything? Slow and error-prone reconciliations and delayed decision-making. So I know probably a lot of you guys are probably, upper management is probably pushing for quicker month-end close. How many times do we often hear that? We want to close the books in 10 days, or we want to close the books in 6 days. We want to get those financials published so that we can actually, react on that real-time data versus producing our financials, the 15th or 20th of the month and then trying to react to them. Okay. So let's talk about how that automation and best practice can improve efficiency through Sage Intacct. Okay. So how many of you are using scheduled journal entries right now? Are you aware of scheduled journal entries? If you are going in and entering in the same transaction month over month, okay, those may be monthly accruals, okay. It may be any type of perhaps even recording our monthly rent. It could be a number of transactions that we are entering in on a monthly basis. Okay, we can set those up as recurring journal entries. All it is just producing that journal and then adding in the schedule. Okay. You'll notice here that that schedule is on that second tab when we set up those recurring journal entries. Okay. We can have them post on a monthly occurrence. It can also we can have it produce on a daily, or it can be recur on even an annual basis. You do have the option of it automatically reversing. So if it is a monthly accrual, you can actually go ahead and set it to reverse in the next month as well. Okay. There is one thing to note here. These recurring journal entries can be created only if your company uses standard reporting periods. If you use custom reporting periods, you can't create recurring journal entries. Okay. Now, again, your standard, again, is going to be, for example, just your normal, even if it is on a fiscal year end, those are still considered standard reporting periods. Okay. All right. So let's talk about this. All right. So once we set up that recurring journal entry, you are going to know within the schedule itself, it is going to tell you if it was successfully posted. Okay. Then we are able to go in and look to see what that journal entry was that posted. And then if it is set to reverse, we can also go in and review the reversal as well. So this is called the execution log. Okay. So for all of the schedules that we do set up, we are going to have that execution log. Okay. If it is failed, in that where it says success, it is going to note if it did fail. Okay. What are some reasons why it could possibly fail? Well, oftentimes on our GL accounts, we may have set that we have to tag certain dimensions. There may be a dimensional requirement on that particular GL account. That could be a reason why that it failed. Okay. It could be that a particular period is closed. Okay, that could be another reason why it fails. But again, it is going to indicate whether or not it was successful or it failed. Okay. Now, when we talked about as in regards to it repeating, okay, we can have it repeat on again the number of days, number of weeks, monthly, month with end of month option. Okay. Again, it's going to generate, for example, if we have the creation on 1/1, that's going to be the start date, but it is going to generate at the end of the month. For example, if we set it to start on 1/1, it's not going to create that journal entry until 1/31. Okay. Or we can do years. Again, you put in the number of years and it can repeat on an annual basis there. Okay. Any questions in regards to scheduled journal entries? Anybody want to provide any feedback in regards to, are you using them? Are you not using them? Is this something that you were aware of? Quiet group today. All right, let's talk about this
Hi,
intelligent
Shay.
GL.
We
Yes,
did have a few people come into the chat.
awesome.
And Lorraine says, be sure to change the schedule date if you change the entry. And Sarah said, yes, we use them. And David
Perfect.
said, yes, we use them.
Great. Great, great, great. Yes, and that is a good, yes, a lot of times, especially if it is for like monthly rent, we may want that to end on the 31st because we may have a rent increase for the next year. Okay. And yes, then you can actually go in and edit the schedule as well. A lot of times folks they'll just create a new schedule so that they can actually see that they have 12 months of one particular entry, and then they have started a new schedule for the next year. So a lot of folks will do that. But as long as you update, you can always update the amount before it posts. So if we were to have, for example, if we were to have like a mid-year bump in rent, you can actually go in. And so if it posts for, say, June, and before it posts that July entry, we could actually go in and modify the amount. And when it posts for July, it would be that new amount as well. So as long as you update it before it posts, you can set it that way, or even as long as you have the permissions and the period's not closed, you can actually go in and actually, if even once it's posted, you could actually update the amount as well. So a couple of things there to kind of note. All right, so let's talk about the GL outlier. Okay, the GL outlier detection, there is no cost associated with it. Okay, a couple of things that I do want to point out here. So it can automatically find errors for us. Okay, so it's going to help with that month-end close analysis. Okay, it is built off of AI. So obviously, when we first turn this on, it's got to start building that information. It's individual modeling. You're going to have improved control measures, improved accuracy in our journal entries. It's continuously updating because it is building off of that AI information and continuous insights. Okay. The one key thing to note is that you do have to have GL approvals on your journals turned on. Okay, so that's really the key thing. So once you go in and you configure it, you do have to have your GL approvals turned on. And let's talk about that for just a minute. So as you know, with GL approvals, it does not have to be a one size fits all. Okay, so we may have GL approvals on possibly adjusting because it can be set on the type of entry. Okay, so it could be set on adjusting journals. Okay, it may be we may have created a journal type for month-end accruals. Okay, it may be said that we have our approvals turned on for just the month-end accruals. Okay. So again, when we turn on our GL approvals, again, that does not have to be a one size fits all. Does that make sense when I say that? Does everyone understand that when we talk about the journal types? Let me know, Dawn, if anyone that post anything there in the chat.
I will.
Perfect. All right. So again, couple things here to note. Again, we talked about that preparation, approvals enabled and configured. Okay, we've got some historical data that exist, and then it's going to start that AI machine learning. Okay, so it's basically going to go in and it's going to say, okay, when we start to see these particular entries that come in, oftentimes, if it is for a particular journal entry type, we are coding it to either a particular GL account. Okay, it's going to start picking up in regards to maybe we tag certain dimensions each time. Okay, a lot of these may be G&A expenses. Okay, so again, it's going to note that maybe we're coding it to the corporate location, or we're coding it to a particular corporate department for those. Okay, so it's going to start building out that machine learning. Okay. Once it starts to kind of build out that information, then it's going to start flagging when AI sees this discrepancy. Okay. And then as a manager, you're going to be able to go in, you're going to be able to say, okay, I either agree with this or I don't agree with this. So I'm going to be able to approve it, or I'm going to be able to modify it there. Okay, so let's talk about what that looks like. Okay, so as we start to build out, you're going to notice this outlier. Okay, you're going to start seeing this within the journals. Okay, and it's going to have these indicators here. Okay, so we've submitted these journals, and now it's telling us these combinations are unusual. So, in other words, the account, the department, and the location and the amount is unusual. Okay, and you can either ignore it and say, no, this is correct, or you can actually review it. Okay, so again, it's as it starts building out that automation, it's going to start assisting with that month end close and that analysis. Okay, because how many times have we fat keyed a department? Okay, or fat keyed a location and inadvertently coded it to the wrong location or the wrong department? Okay. All right. Now we're going to switch gears. And this one I'm going to spend a little bit more time on because this one, I guess if I said out of everything we are going to discuss today, the matching and the creation rules for me, I feel like is a great enhancement. Okay. This is something that within the reconciliations, I think they added it maybe a couple of years ago. I can't remember if it's been that long or not. But they started adding in, they meaning Sage, added in that we can start creating matching and creation rules. Okay. So again, our matching rules tell Sage Intacct how to automatically match incoming bank transactions to existing Intacct transactions for reconciliation. The creation rules tells Intacct how to automatically create a new transaction from the incoming transaction data. So if anyone has come off of QuickBooks, you'll know a lot of times that those creation rules, that's kind of a cousin to that creation type of functionality that sits within QuickBooks. So again, a good example of a creation rule may be we may have monthly bank fees that we need to record. Okay, so that would be a good indicator for a creation rule. Okay, I see that on a monthly basis in the description, there's some keywords that indicates that it is a bank fee, and I want it to record a transaction in Intacct. It's going to be a journal entry, and I'm going to create that to record that monthly bank fee. Okay, so let's talk about what each of these looks like. Okay, let's talk about a matching rule example. Okay, we can either set it for to just match simply on the transaction amount and possibly the document number. Okay, that's a very good example of a matching rule within Intacct. Another type of matching rule that we can create is we can create, for example, we may have a number of deposits that we have recorded individually in Intacct, but on the banking side, it hits as one lump sum. Okay, so we are able to actually create a matching rule that says, I want you to take multiple transactions in Intacct, and I want you to match it to one lump sum amount on the banking side. Okay, so that's a good indicator or a good example of that matching rule. Okay, again, creation rule, just like we talked about before, a good example of that is going to be, for example, our bank fees. Okay, it's going to look to a particular criteria on the banking side. So a lot of times that's in a description or in a memo section on the banking side. And we're going to look for keywords. When we see those keywords, it's going to create a transaction in Intacct to record those. Okay, so it's going to debit our expense account for our bank fees, and it's going to credit cash. Okay. Obviously, when it does that, we've got those matching rules set up to be set on the date and the amount, then it is automatically going to match those as well. Okay. So once we set up our rules, okay, then we are going to add them to a rule set. Okay. So when we add them to a rule set, we're going to indicate it may be associated with one particular cash account, or it may be associated with multiple cash accounts. Okay, so this may be something that may flow across all of our cash accounts in regards to these rules. You may have others that may need a little bit more specific criteria. Okay, so another example there would be I may set up a rule set that's specifically for a sweep type of account. Okay, but a lot of times on those sweep accounts, because it is in and out transactions, sometimes we will set those journal entries to record in Intact. I mean, it's kind of six of one, half dozen of the other because it's literally just going in and out. But that would be an example of why we would associate a rule set with a different type of cash account. Here is a good thing to note. This runs on the reconciliation page or import of a file. Okay, so a lot of times folks will set up rules and rule sets, and they will say, well, I don't necessarily see that functionality. I don't see it working. Well, we have to actually go in and initiate the reconciliation. Okay. And you can always view the rule set performance log. Okay. Right here on the rule set is the performance log, and that is going to show us if those rules and those rule sets are working as expected. Okay. A lot of folks are not necessarily aware that there is a performance log within the rule set that they can actually go in and review. Okay. All right. Here's some good tips and tricks. Okay. The most specific matching rule needs to run first to prevent unintended matches. Okay. So again, an example of that would be, for example, the dollar amount and the dollar amount and the date, for example. Okay. I would want that to run before a creation rule. Okay, so it's going to match anything before it even attempts to create any new transactions. Okay, again, when we access that account reconciliation page, okay, it also is when we do any type of import of a bank file. So we're importing those banking transactions. When the bank transactions arrive into Intacct from a bank feed, and it's automatic every 4 hours. Okay. All right. Another thing to note here is transactions may post in Intacct on one day at the bank and on another within Intacct or the bank. So in other words, we may have a delay there. Okay, so you can actually put for the posting date, you can actually put in a within criteria. So I want to say as long as it posts within Intacct within a couple of days. So I can actually put in within 2 days of the posting date. Okay, so I'm actually going to go into Intacct on this one. I closed out of Intacct a little earlier, so we'll log back into a demo environment. So while I'm logging back into the demo environment, are there any questions? Again, like I said, I want to really make this kind of interactive with you guys. I feel like we a lot of times get a lot of questions in regards to bank reconciliations and matching and creation rules. So I do want to ask if there's any questions right now.
Any questions right now?
Okay,
But I'm keeping an eye on the chat, so
perfect.
please type something in there if you'd like to ask Shay a question.
All right, let's go into this demo environment here. All right. So in this example, my cash accounts are at the top level. Okay. So I'm going to set up my matching rules. I'm going to make sure that those are set up at the top level as well. Okay. Now, we talked about we actually talked about different kinds of matching rules. Okay. So this is just an example of a very simple matching rule that we want to say that the posting date equals the posting date in Intacct. Okay. We also want to say that the amount equals the amount in Intacct, and then the document number equals the document number in Intacct. Okay. Now, one thing that we did talk about was on that posting date that we can have a within. So I could have that I want the posting date within 2 days of the posting date in Intacct. Okay, so we can change that posting date to within. Okay, we also talked about that. Another example, and I'll go ahead and save that one. We also talked about another one where this is many Intacct payments to a payment lump sum on the bank. Okay. So in other words, I want to group those document numbers in Intacct, and I want to group those posting dates in Intacct. Okay. So that's an example of being able to set those up in regards of that many to one relationship. Okay. Now, another thing to note, let me go back in here, is right here, we have rule examples. Okay. You can also get to this from the help on this page as well. Okay. But right here, I can go into matching rule examples. And I love these examples here. Okay. So right here, this match multiple Intacct transactions to one lump sum in the bank. If I expand this, it literally gives me step-by-step instructions onto completely how to set this up. Okay. So you don't even have to leverage off of LBMC or anyone with LBMC to do this yourself. Okay. You can actually go in and start adding in a lot of these matching rules yourself. Okay. So that's one thing that I absolutely love is that I love the fact that they give really good examples of some of the main ones that are within that you normally would set up. Okay. There's also another one that I really, really like that and it is troubleshooting bank. Should be bank. Always have to click on this one. Troubleshoot reconciliations. Okay. This is another one that I really, really like. That in regards even to matching transactions, This is a lot of really good information that you can leverage off of to kind of help troubleshoot those reconciliations. Okay. So again, if we're getting any type of errors, I want to try to be as self-sufficient as I possibly can. So if there's anything I need to go in and review or to kind of figure out why I'm having such issues with my reconciliation, I can actually come in here and do a search on my troubleshoot reconciliation. So I didn't know if you guys were aware of that one. There's also even troubleshoot a bank feed. Okay, so if any of you guys have that automatic bank feed, connection for any of your cash accounts, this is another really, really good one to kind of come in here. This was one that we hear pretty frequently, missing transactions from a bank feed. Okay. So again, I can come in here and kind of start doing some analysis, which really helps because if then I do need to submit a support ticket, I can actually provide feedback and say, okay, this is what I've tried myself. I've tried to figure out why the transactions aren't there, or I've tried to figure out why something is not matching. This is what I'm seeing. These are the results I'm seeing. Can you guys assist? Okay. So again, you can be pretty self-sufficient with those, but then again, if you still need to leverage off of us, absolutely. Okay. All right. So same thing with our creation rules. Okay. So if I look at my creation rule, okay, I am wanting to say, okay, when do I want this to start? I want a posting date greater than 1/1 of 2018. So I've had this one out there for quite a while. Okay. Within my banking transaction, I want the transaction type to equal debit. Okay. Then I want to, in the description, if it contains bank fee, that's what I want it to look to. Okay. Then from there, I want it to create a journal. Okay. So I'm going to create a transaction template. Okay. It's going to be for my bank fee. Obviously, it is going to debit my bank charge expense account. I may want it to go to a particular department. I may want it to go to a particular location. And then obviously the flip side of that entry is going to be on a credit onto the cash account. Okay. Now, in this particular example right here, you will notice that it has it set to go to a CDJ. Okay. The only thing I will say there is that within my general ledger, okay, for my journals, I can set up as many journal types as I want. So most of the time, if I'm giving advice to a client, I will come in and I will say, okay, instead, I want it to be a banking transaction journal, because I want to isolate these very specifically. So in that particular example, I wouldn't set it as a cash disbursement journal. I would actually tag it to this banking transaction journal. So then that way I can very specifically see all of my automatic creation journals going into, I can literally go into view transactions and I would be able to see all of them right here. Okay. This also goes back to what I was saying earlier on journal entry approvals, is that within the GL configuration, if we are turning on journal entry approvals, okay, as you know, for journal entry approvals, again, it does not have to be a one size fits all. I can set them very specifically to certain journal entry types. Okay. So it may be, for example, in just like we see here for our payroll journals or payroll journals, because those are so, I guess you could say, scrutinized by auditors, those may be ones that I want to have an approval policy around or an approval workflow around. Okay. And again, I can add as many journal types as I want. Obviously, Intacct comes with several that are out of the box. But again, another one that I would probably create is my monthly accrual journal. Again, I'm isolating those journal entries so that I can view all of those transactions and have those all grouped together. And then if I wanted to, I could then set up a approval workflow, again, very specifically for that monthly accrual journal. Okay. So that just kind of goes back to what we were talking about beforehand, when we were talking about the GL outlier detector, is that again, for those journal entry approvals, again, it does not have to be a one size fits all there. Okay. All right. Let's go back into our PowerPoint presentation here. All right, so that covers our matching and creation rules, kind of some of those tips and tricks. All right, so now let's talk about Copilot. Okay, so obviously AI is the latest and greatest push with pretty much any software. And I'm loving what I am seeing with the AI functionality within Sage Intacct. Okay, so what we are going to be seeing with the Copilot for Sage Intacct is we're really saying saving up to 5 days per period and with AI-powered automation. Again, reducing processing time, catching errors, ensuring that accuracy, sharing financial insights with budget owners, and gaining real-time visibility into financial close process or progress. Okay. So one of the nicest things is that, we've always had the help functionality within Sage Intacct. But now, just like we see in with Copilot with other functionality and other software, we can actually start now to ask very specific questions and getting that feedback. Okay. So again, wanting you guys to be as self-sufficient as you possibly can. So when you are looking for those answers immediately, a lot of times even within the help, what do we see? Well, a lot of times it's you're having to search on very specific, wording. If you don't capture those the search words correctly, you get the results that you need, not necessarily. Okay, just like when I was searching for even troubleshooting banking reconciliations. Well, it was troubleshooting reconciliations. Again, it's just not having to necessarily rely on those specific words. Okay, so now I can go in and actually start putting in for the search. Okay. I could skip a slide. Yep. Okay, there we go. Resolve variances with proactive insights. Okay, so now there's actually going to be insights that I can actually very easily leverage off of and be able to see rather than even going in and having to view a full financial report. Now, can I view the full financial report? Absolutely. Absolutely, I can. But I can also see a snapshot of those variances. Okay. Again, proactive monitoring of close task. Okay. How many of you all have used the checklist functionality in Intacct? Anyone? If you've used the checklist functionality in Intacct, you'll notice there's a little bit of nuances to it. Okay. You'll know that if you produce, excuse me, a checklist for a month-end close. For example, for your April month-end close, if I wanted to leverage off of that checklist for then my May month-end close, I've got to duplicate it. Okay. And I've heard that feedback from several clients that they're like, yeah, I don't really necessarily like to have to duplicate that checklist and go back in and, clear out the task and things of that nature. And I get that. I totally get that. But this is going to actually now go in and allow me to start to see, okay, where am I at in the month end close? Okay. Do I have unposted bills out here sitting in AP that need to post? Okay. I may want to close down my AP subledger. How oftentimes do we need to do that? We may not close the books. We're talking about shortening the month end close. We may not necessarily be we may not be totally finalized in closing the books until maybe the 10th, the 15th of the month. But I may want to go ahead and close down my AP subledger as of, I may want to cut it off at the 3rd of the month. I don't want anything else to post to, we'll use that example again for April. I may not want anything else to post to April for AP. I want it to go ahead and post to May, so I may need to go ahead and close down my AP subledger. Okay, same thing with AR. I may want to leave AR only open until the 3rd. I'm not done closing the books, but I want to go ahead and close down that AR subledger so nothing else posts to the month and it goes ahead and goes into the next period. Okay, same thing, cash management. Okay, we may have unposted journals out here. If it is going through a particular review process, we may have certain folks within the organization that they may be posting journal entries, and we may not necessarily have an approval workflow, but Bob may only be able to post journals in a draft status. Well, I may have a journal entry sitting out there for Bob that I need to go in and review and actually go ahead and post those for the month. Okay. So again, that's some of that functionality that we're going to be seeing within Copilot. Okay. And there was one other slide. There's not. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go in and show you. So obviously right now within the demo environment, okay, I'm going to start seeing some of this Copilot functionality. Okay. So I may want to say, why am I missing banking transactions in my bank feed? And obviously it is going to come up with a little bit. All right. So now I can start getting some real-time information of, okay, these are some of the occurrences of why I may be missing some of this stuff. Okay, what's it going to do? Notice here before, we looked at those troubleshooting. Okay, we even looked at missing transactions from a bank feed. Now I can go directly to my help. Okay, again, troubleshooting bank feeds. I can go, it's going to now take me directly to my help. Okay. So again, I'm going to start seeing now where I can start going in and now doing a lot of that search functionality. Again, this is still, it is up and coming. I'm not sure exactly of the release. Can't remember. I want to say it might be Q3 or Q4 of this year. Don't quote me on that. But again, it is up and coming. And so a couple of things. If anyone is attending Sage Future, there's actually myself and 2 of my colleagues are going to be speaking at Sage Future, and you're going to see a lot about Copilot within Sage and the new functionality there. So it's a very exciting time. I'm super excited about Copilot within Sage Intacct because, again, for me, I've always wanted to be as self-sufficient as I possibly can. I want to try to figure it out on my own. I want to know the whys. Like, somebody can say, well, this is how you fix XYZ. Well, that's great. But I'm one of those type people that I'm like, well, I want to know why it happened. I don't want to just know the fix. I want to know why it happened. So for me, I really like this because, again, it's allowing me to be a little bit more self-sufficient in my searches. But again, like I said, right now, there's not a whole lot out here for the Copilot. Again, this is just still kind of in this demo environment. But again, we are able to come in and kind of start playing with this. So again, I'm pretty excited about that. So again, if you are going to Sage Future, like I said, myself and two of my colleagues are going to be speaking. So please let us know. Please let us know if you are going to be attending Sage Future because I know that we would love to have you. We are having a client appreciation dinner. And so obviously we would like to get you on the guest list for that. And then just connecting, just being able to connect and meet you guys. I know a lot of you guys are new with LBMC as the ROG new clients that are coming over, and so we want to be able to connect with you and meet you guys, get a name with a face, and again, kind of start to build that relationship. So that is it in regards to the presentation itself. You guys have kind of been a quiet group today, and that's completely understandable. I know, it's holiday week. We're going into Memorial Day weekend, so I know a lot of people are going to be taking vacations, and I'm going to be taking some vacation coming up myself. So
Hey, I have
thank
a favor
you.
to ask.
Yes,
I-
ma'am.
Would you be able to pull up the Sage Future um, website? We had a question on how
Absolutely.
to register for Sage Future, and that doesn't go through.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, you can Google it. Let's see if it's also, let me see if it's on the home page too. A lot of times it is on the home
Yeah.
page. So let me see if it's on on the home page. Somebody yell at me if you do see it. Oh, right here. So it is on your home page. So Sage Future in Atlanta. There it is. So
Could
June
you click
3rd
on
through
that
the 5th.
URL and we can slap that in the chat?
Yes, absolutely.
And if you are going to Sage Future, as Shay mentioned, we're having a dinner on the 4th. That's Wednesday night, and we'd love to have you there. And for that,
Let me put that in the chat.
just let me know that you're interested, and I will get you an RS or a invitation, and you can RSVP. Thank you, Shay. Are there,
Absolutely, guys.
yeah, are there any other questions? We've got a few minutes left before the top of the hour. Has this information been helpful? Would you like to see more of this kind of presentation? Or is there a particular subject that maybe we could present on in the future? Yes, it's been, thank you. Tom says that yes, it's been helpful and thanks us. We thank you
It
for
is
attending.
absolutely. And I know for the ROGNU clients, we are offering for us to come on site. It is going to be, I know my particular manager, Angela Payne, is going to be visiting some of the ROGNU clients. So we would love, again, to connect with you guys, and we are truly passionate about our clients. I will say, like I kind of started with, so many of us are accountants by trade. So we've sat in your shoes, and I always say, like, of course I am very, very partial to LBMC, but that's, to me, that's kind of what sets us apart, is so many of us are accountants by trade. We've had years, a lot of us 20 plus years of accounting experience. And so we love to connect with our clients and really kind of build out that relationship. And I know I can speak for myself, but there is nothing excites me more than helping somebody figure out a process or figure out. I mean, if you ever ask yourself, surely there is an easier way to do this in Sage Intacct. 9 times out of 10, the answer is yes. And it's just we don't know what we don't know, because Intact is in the cloud. They are constantly, you're fully aware of those quarterly releases. Okay. And again, if we go back to our homepage and we look at those quarterly releases and all of that information, okay, for these release notes. If you've ever gone in and read any of these release notes, is it overwhelming? Absolutely, it's overwhelming. And a lot of times it's like, oh, wait a minute. Well, Intact changed this functionality and now they've made it, so much easier on us to do, whatever in Intact. So again, a lot of times it's we don't know what we don't know. So if you are ever struggling with anything and you're like, oh my gosh, this is costing me 5 days and numerous amount of manpower and hours that I'm putting into this to try to get this information into Intact or complete a reconciliation. And you're like, there has to be an easier way. Please reach out. Please reach out to us because, again, there is. I would say 9 times out of 10, there's an easier way to do it. And we're always looking outside the box, trying to think out the box to help our clients to reduce that stress because month end, it's one of those things where it's inevitable. We have to go through it. It's, if you guys have to go through any audits, it's like the audit, paying taxes and going through your audit. But it's one of those things where it's something that we have to do, but we kind of, we want to make it as easy as possible. We don't want you guys completely stressed out of, you know, again, if you're getting that push from upper management to close the books quicker, that's challenging. It is. I completely recognize that. So please, please, please reach out to us. But again, thank you for your time. If you do come across any questions, you can always reach out to myself. You can reach out to Deanna. Again, we're going to be offering that on-site visit where we come in, kind of do a very high-level kind of business process review with you guys to kind of see, what are your pain points? And that is a great way for you to, have the availability to talk with us one-on-one and say, you know what, these are my pain points. How can you help? And we will do our absolute best to help reduce that stress and help to find you guys solutions that's going to help out with that month end close.
That's wonderful. Everyone, thank you for joining us today. Shay, thank you so much for
Absolutely.
this great content. We've got a lot of positive feedback. Thanking you for the demo and for the session. And I want to remind everyone in the chat, in addition to what we have going on at Sage Future, every quarter we offer free training. And usually we call it Hot Topics. And the next Hot Topics is coming up May 28th. It's usually 2 weeks after the Sage release, the Sage quarterly release. And so on the 28th, we're going to be presenting allocations and taking a look at the R2 highlights. And so you should have received invitations for Hot Topics. If you haven't, let me know and I'll send you that personally. But that's something that we do offer our clients. And we've had a couple of requests for how to set up a bank feed and how to search for invoices in a particular time frame. And if those are one-to-many issues that we can bring to Hot Topics, we'll bring it there. But then also, as Deanna had shared the tech help link, if you need one-on-one help, please use that tech help, and we can help you that way as well. So thanks for joining us, everyone, and we hope to see you again either on the 28th or at Sage Future. Talk to you later. Bye now.
Thanks, guys.